Hi friends, it's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. It's the 20th of the month, which means it's time for the Oh So Inspired Collaboration Hop, where we are inspired by a project and we take something from it and create our own project. This month is actually featuring me. This year we are going around all of the different creators on the collaboration team and being inspired by each other. So I went through my Instagram and I found a couple projects that I was inspired by. I really wanted to do something with the poison apple, but I was going through all of my projects and I realized it's been quite a while since I've used alcohol inks. So that's what I'm going to do today. I inspired myself to get out my case of alcohol inks. This is a collaboration hop, so you can find the playlist down below and see what everyone created with me as inspiration, which is just absolutely wild. I'm so excited to hop along today and see what everyone created. I just feel so excited to be a source of inspiration for other people. So this is going to be really fun for me. I'm really excited, but let's jump into what I'm making today. So I have my little alcohol ink mat thing here and I'm grabbing some Yupo paper and I'm going to die cut it with the poison looking die from the Sassy Club Poison Apple die set. So I'm just going to trim part of this Yupo paper down. So it's just going to be the area I need to do my die cutting. So I'm going to make sure that I have my die the correct way when I cut this out and make sure there's plenty of room to die cut when I'm done adding the alcohol inks. So I reached into my collection and picked some greens. I'm going to be using my alcohol blending solution as well as Everglades, which is a darker green alcohol ink. And I'm going to also bring in Limeade, which is more of a limey green alcohol ink. And I also have gilded alloy, so it's kind of like a gold paint alloy. I put some of the blending solution onto this piece of cardstock, the Yupo cardstock, and I'm using the two green alcohol inks along with an ink or an air blower. I have one that's pretty cheap off Amazon. It's not super great. I'm actually going to probably buy the Ranger one, but it's fine. It gets the job done. And I'm using it to just move the alcohol ink around before it dries. And I keep adding color and blender, just going back and forth until I'm happy with the amount of color on my paper. Once I'm done adding green, well, not done, but taking a break from adding greens, I'm going to add in some of that gilded alloy, which is a bit of a gold color, just trying to add a little bit of shine and shimmer. And then I'll keep going back and forth, adding more green. And before it completely dries, I'm actually using a lime green foil transfer sheet. So this is a foil that you can use with like pastes and stuff. This is not a heat foiling. This is a foil transfer. So it sticks to sticky. So some of my alcohol ink is not fully dry. You could see it sticks to the backside of the foil. But if it's still like just wet enough, not soaking wet, but just wet enough that when you apply the foil, some of the foil will actually stick to it. It's more like a tacky stick rather than a wet stick, if that makes sense. And it will pull some of that foil and it will leave a really pretty foil shine to some of the parts of the card. So you can see here when I tilt it in the light, some of that foil has attached to the alcohol ink and it just made a really pretty background. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm actually not putting my alcohol inks away. I hope to do more this weekend when this goes up to do more alcohol ink backgrounds. So once it is fully dry, I'm going to run it through my die cut with the poison apple and you can see how pretty that turned out. I absolutely love it. I'm going to grab the apple and the stem as well. So I'll cut the apple out of some red cardstock and I'm going to cut the stem out of some Kraft cardstock. And I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending. I wanted to add some shadow to my cardstock pieces just to give it a little more dimension. So for the apple, I'm going to bring in aged mahogany. I'm going to really deepen up the top of my apple so when it shows through the openings of the poison, it gives more of a deeper red look. So I'm starting with that aged mahogany and then I'm going to bring in black soot and darken it up even more. I really want it to be shadowy and kind of scary to make a poison apple. So I'm going to use my poison as a guide. I see that I might need to bring the color down a little bit more. So I'm going to again use that aged mahogany and deepen up my apple and then black soot on the top as well. Then for the stem, I have Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to darken up my stem a little bit where it will attach to my apple. So I'm going to come in with one layer and then darken it even more towards the bottom of the stem. So now that all my pieces are ready, let's start gluing things together. So I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back of my poison, the green alcohol ink and foil piece that I've made, and attach it to the top of my red apple. And then I will add a little bit of glue to the bottom of the stem and attach that as well, just behind the poison, so it peeks out enough to where I can see the dimension of my ink blending, but not, be terribly too much taller than my poison apple. For my background, I thought we'd have a little fun. Instead of using pattern paper like my inspiration today, I'm going to create my own pattern with some black cardstock, and I'm going to use the bug background stencil, also from the Sassy Club. So I'm going to trim this black panel down to be slightly smaller than A2 in size. So I know I'm going to trim 4 1/4 here, but I am going to trim it down again to be 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So I'll have a little bit of a white border when I attach this background to my card base. I'm going to go ahead and attach it, well, not attach it, but stick it to a grit mat and my stencil. So I'll just go ahead and make sure my stencil covers most of this black cardstock. And I'm going to grab some grit paste in the glow color. I guess I'm going to grab glow grit paste from Distress, the Distress collection. And I'm going to use a palette knife to pick up some of this grit paste, and I'm going to apply it to the background through my stencil. Now it is a grit paste, which means it's not like as smooth as other stencil paste. So I'm going to leave it kind of chunky, I guess you could say, through my stencil. And then I will go ahead and peel it off. I'm going to add the leftover grit paste back into the jar, but I'm going to immediately rinse my stencil and my palette knife so the grit paste doesn't stick to my tools. Once I get that cleaned off, I'm going to grab my tweezers and peel off this background off of my grit mat. I'm going to make sure to clean my grit mat as well. And I'm going to set it aside to dry. So while it's drying, I'm going to die cut the Slime Alpha die from Sassy Club out of some lime green cardstock. I'm trying to match that green poison apple look, and I'm going to grab my Mowed Lawn Distress ink and a blending brush, and I'm going to create an ombre look on my cardstock by just inking up the lower half of all of my letters. So I am going to go ahead and set this aside to dry the background and just kind of leave everything here on my desk. I am, at the time of creating this, it's nighttime, and I want to make sure my grit paste dries and that I also get a little bit of sleep. So I'm going to let all of this dry overnight, and in the morning, or not the morning, but the next day, I came back and I'm ready to finish putting my card together. So everything is dry, but I want to add a little splatter. So I'm grabbing my bleed proof white fine art paint, and I'm going to add splatter to my word Wicked here, the letters, as well as my background. So I'm getting everything kind of lined up. I'm going to put my apple off to the side. I'm going to use a paintbrush and take some of the white paint and just put it right onto my glass mat, as well as some water to just kind of dilute it a little bit, make it easier to create a splatter. And I'm going to go ahead and just mix that and then use this paintbrush to apply the splatter all over my background and my letters, just to give it a nice, fun, splattery look. I cleaned up my desk, and then I'm grabbing in a A2 top folding card base, and I'm going to go ahead and start layering things together. So my stenciled background, I'm just going to glue that right to my card base. There's a lot of dimension on my card front here because of the grit paste. So I'm going to just use liquid adhesive and attach this to the center of my card base. And because there's a lot of texture, I decided I want to use some foam adhesive to attach all of my elements to the front of the card. So I'm going to grab some thin 1mm foam adhesive to attach everything. So I have my Wicked word lined up so it will fit onto the front of my card base, making sure everything's going to fit. I do see that part of my word is going to overlap just a little bit over my red apple. So I'm going to make sure I have foam adhesive behind my apple as well as my sentiment. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to use black foam adhesive just because I'm using a black background. I think that will work out nicer. So I'm going to attach that foam adhesive to the back side of my apple. I'm just going to use one of my long strips here and go all the way around my apple and add a few more strips in the center of the apple. And I'll go ahead and attach that to the very tip top of my card. I want to make sure that it reaches the very edge of the black cardstock, but it's center left to right. And I'm kind of turning it a little bit more of an angle. I think it looks really cool. And then I added foam, lots of little foam strips behind my word wicked, and I'm going to attach that to the bottom of my card. So it's going to overlap my apple just a little bit, but I think it looks really cool. I love the gooey like dripping of the poison as well as my sentiment on the front of the card as well. I've been really liking doing this to my die cut letters, which is grabbing some pops of color in a glitter. So I'm using Pixie, which is a green glitter, and adding it to the bottom of all of my letters. I'm also adding it to anywhere on the top of the letters. It kind of like drips down, and it's going to give it some really nice shine and just add more to that ombre look of the sentiment. Here's a close-up look of how my card turned out. I'm very surprised that I was inspired by myself. Again, that poison apple and using alcohol inks. I'm so excited to see what everyone else does today. I hope you'll hop along. Make sure you comment and let everyone know that you came to see some inspiration for me, but I had so much fun and I hope everyone else did too. I can't wait to see what everyone makes. Use that link below in my description box so you can hop along with me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!